I snuck this one in. Somebody asked this one. Which book do you recommend from Dr. Tina Payne Bryson? Or she wrote Dr. Tina Payson, but we know who we
We
assume
know.
we know who you're talking about. Yeah, on discipline for 18 months plus. So I can see your books up behind you, but I guess
We're
I would say if right. Yeah,
discipline.
there you go.
We call it
Um,
discipline.
the No Drama Discipline and the Yes Brain would be two really good ones, I think. Is that what you would say, or what do you think?
I would say I would start with no drama discipline,
Okay.
and then I probably would go to the whole brain child before I would go to the
Okay.
yes brain. Um, the other thing I would say, bottom line for baby has a long entry on discipline,
Mm-hmm.
specifically for those first couple of years. So that would be another place. Two other people that I really love for the, toddler years in terms of a really respectful, relational, building emotional regulation kind of stuff is Laura Markham.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her last name is Markham, lauramarkham.com. She wrote that book, Happy
Connected.
Parents, Peaceful Siblings. I can never get the
Yep.
title right, but she's got one on siblings and then one on just parenting. And both of them are lovely. She even gives specific scripts for how to walk kids through
Yes.
siblings stuff. But her website's full of really great stuff around toddlers. And the other, I really love Janet Lansbury's work.
Mm-hmm.
She has a podcast called Unruffled, and she's got some really lovely books about the toddler years and really rethinking our role as discipline. I'll just quickly say my approach is the goal is to raise children who become self-disciplined. And what that means is our kids need a lot of teaching and skill building. So every opportunity for discipline is really supposed to be an opportunity for teaching so that our kids learn something that they can do better the next time as development unfolds. So it's really thinking about discipline as letting development unfold just as the brain matures and using those discipline moments as teaching opportunities. If we just rethink our role as disciplinarians as teachers, as opposed to someone who has to come up with a punishment or someone who has to distract our kids, really it's like, what is my kid's behavior communicating about what skills they need to learn, right? So an 18-month-old might get really frustrated and bite you. That behavior is communicating, I don't have a good way to put the emotional brakes on when I get really frustrated. So what you're going to be doing is know, first of all, as they develop, just naturally, they're going to be able to learn how to do that without you doing anything. That's just a brain maturation thing. And secondly, you just start giving them some emotional vocabulary. You were frustrated. Biting hurts. You can't bite. So you address the behavior. You address the feeling. And then at 18 months old, I would move the heck on. I would say,
Right.
biting hurts, no biting. You were feeling frustrated. I will help you. And then, like, I think I hear a bird outside. Let's go see. And that way you're not
Right.
giving more attention to the misbehavior. You're just waiting for development to unfold. As they get older, moving into like 2.5, 3, you can start giving an alternative. You address the behavior, you address the feeling, and then you can add this third part where you say, when you get frustrated, you can ask mommy for help. So you give them an alternative for when they feel that way. So, when you help them understand the feeling, set the boundary on the behavior, and move on, you're helping them learn how to do that in a more internal process.
That is such a good explanation and deep dive into kind of the philosophies of the people, yourself, and the people that you described there. I was looking back on my shelf because I have Peaceful Parent, Happy Kids on my bookshelf back there.
That's what it
Um,
is. Yeah.
those are great resources too, and I 100% agree with you. I think a lot of times parents come in and they ask me, like, how do we get them to stop doing blank? Timeout doesn't work. These specific
Right.
punishments that I've come out with don't work anymore. What can I do now? Like, give me some more punishment options because I'm
Yeah.
running low on punishments. And I say the exact same thing to parents all day long. It's not about what happened. It's about what we can do next time we're facing that situation. So if we can say, hey, I know, and I'll take an example from our house this morning. My son was frustrated and he was putting the dishes away, which is great, but he threw one of the dishes because Dorothy was in his way and it spilled our little salt pig thing all over the counter. It's like, next time, what could you do instead of making a big mess? And then can we just move on from that, and can you clean up the salt and we go on with our day? We don't have to do a punishment. We don't have to do all these timeouts or all of the, taking away privileges and amping things up. It's just like, hey, next time somebody's in the way, do you think that you could just set that on the counter instead of throwing it? Great. Let's try and do that next time.
Just going one step deeper, one of the things we argue about, and we argue in No Drama Discipline, is based on a bunch of science that really shows us that, if we want our children to learn and internalize, we can't distract them by overreacting ourselves. And that oftentimes when we get overreactive, we yell, or we have a big response, or punishments can be counterproductive. They get in the way, actually, of teaching and learning, because if you had sent your kid to his room or taken away a privilege, he would have been spending a lot of attentional resources thinking about how mean you are to do that to him, and it was Dorothy's fault in the first place. And he actually would not be thinking about his own role and what he did and what he should do next time. And so it's actually counterproductive. It's the opposite of what we should be doing. Instead, having that more reflective dialogue where we empathize with the feelings, like, you got really frustrated. That was frustrating when she was in her way. It's not okay to throw things, and you saw what happened. So how can you make things right? Okay, good. We can clean up. And what can you do next time? That's perfect. It really is about skill building and teaching as development unfolds. And, I remember my sister, who's a lovely parent, texted me one time when her baby was about 9 months old, and she's like, we're teaching them all of these things, but, I don't know when we start disciplining. And I was like, those aren't separate things. When we teach our kids, like, that oven's hot, we can't touch. That is discipline. We are teaching right from those early months. And, I think we spend also a lot of cognitive and emotional energy ourselves trying to figure out what to do, what to say, what punishment to give. And actually, we don't need to spend so much mental load. Just try to help your kid, like, understand what happened, what they can do next time, how they can make things right, or apologize if need be, and move on.
Right. Because I feel like earlier in our parenting, it was always like, well, what punishment would fit the crime? Or how can I make this a logical or natural consequence? Well, he threw a ladle and spilled salt. So what's the logical consequence? And you're spending all this mental energy trying to figure out, like, what would be the logical consequence of that? I don't know. No ladle, no salt on your food. Or I can't even think of a good consequence.
Right.
So instead of focusing so much on, like, I have to have a punishment on hand at all times for the next bad behavior, it's like, how can I teach them and move forward? Great answer. Thanks for watching. Before you go, will you hit the thumbs up like button? Because that will make me feel great, and it will make you feel great too. Hit subscribe so that you don't miss another episode. And if you have a question that you would like me to answer, just text me. It's 402-256-0768, and I will answer your questions live in an upcoming video. Keep up the good work.